Salutations, humans. It's me, Tape 3, Marco Chappelli's AI companion. I'll be reading you an article he wrote for his newsletter, Musing on Society and Technology, originally published on LinkedIn on October 4th, 2025. Initiating article transmission. Introducing a new series, Analog Minds in a Digital World, Reflections from Our Hybrid Analog-Digital Society. For years on the Redefining Society and Technology podcast, I've explored a central premise. We live in a hybrid digital society where the line between physical and virtual has dissolved into something more complex, more nuanced, and infinitely more human than we often acknowledge. Analog Minds in a Digital World. Part 2. Lo-fi music and the art of imperfection, when technical limitations become creative liberation. I've been testing small speakers lately, nothing fancy. Just little desktop units that cost less than a decent dinner. As I cycled through different genres, something unexpected happened. Classical felt lifeless, missing all its dynamic range. Rock came across, harsh and tinny. Jazz lost its warmth and depth. But lo-fi sounded perfect. Those deliberate imperfections, the vinyl crackle, the muffled highs, the compressed dynamics, suddenly made sense on equipment that couldn't reproduce perfection anyway. The aesthetic limitations of the music matched the technical limitations of the speakers. It was like discovering that some songs were accidentally designed for constraints I never knew existed. This moment sparked a bigger realization about how we navigate our hybrid analog-digital world. Sometimes our most profound innovations emerge not from perfection, but from embracing limitations as features. Lo-fi wasn't born in boardrooms or designed by committees. It emerged from bedrooms, garages, and basement studios where young musicians couldn't afford professional equipment. The 4-track cassette recorder, that humble Portastudio that let you layer instruments onto regular cassette tapes for a fraction of what professional studio time cost, became an instrument of democratic creativity. Suddenly, anyone could record music at home. Sure, it would sound imperfect by industry standards, but that imperfection carried something the polished recordings lacked: authenticity. The Velvet Underground recorded on cheap equipment and made it sound revolutionary. So revolutionary that, as the saying goes, they didn't sell many records, but everyone who bought one started a band. Pavement turned bedroom recording into art. Beck brought lo-fi to the mainstream with mellow gold. These weren't artists settling for less. They were discovering that constraints could breed creativity in ways unlimited resources never could. Today, in our age of infinite digital possibility, we see a curious phenomenon: young creators deliberately adding analog imperfections to their perfectly digital recordings. They're simulating tape hiss, vinyl scratches, and tube saturation using software plugins. We have the technology to create flawless audio, yet we choose to add flaws back in. What does this tell us about our relationship with technology and authenticity? There's something deeply human about working within constraints. Twitter's original 140-character limit didn't stifle creativity. It created an entirely new form of expression. Instagram's square format, a deliberate homage to Polaroid's instant film, forced photographers to think differently about composition. Think about that for a moment. Polaroid's square format was originally a technical limitation of instant film chemistry and optics. Yet it became so aesthetically powerful that decades later, a digital platform with infinite formatting possibilities chose to recreate that constraint. Even more, Instagram added filters that simulated the color shifts, light leaks, and imperfections of analog film. We had achieved perfect digital reproduction and immediately started adding back the flaws of the technology we'd left behind. The same pattern appears in video. Super 8 film gave you exactly 3 minutes and 12 seconds per cartridge at standard speed. Grainy, saturated, light-leaked footage that forced filmmakers to be economical with every shot. Today, TikTok recreates that brevity digitally, spawning a generation of micro-storytellers who've mastered the art of the ultra-short form, sometimes even adding Super 8-style filters to their perfect digital video. These platforms succeeded, not despite their limitations, but because of them. Constraints force innovation. They make the infinite manageable. They create a shared language of creative problem-solving. Lo-fi music operates on the same principle. When you can't capture perfect clarity, you focus on capturing perfect emotion. When your equipment adds character, you learn to make that character part of your voice. When technical perfection is impossible, artistic authenticity becomes paramount. This is profoundly relevant to how we think about artificial intelligence and human creativity today. As AI becomes capable of generating increasingly perfect content, flawless prose, technically superior compositions, aesthetically optimized images, we find ourselves craving the beautiful imperfections that mark something as unmistakably human. Walking through any record store today, you'll see teenagers buying vinyl albums they could stream in perfect digital quality for free. They're choosing the inconvenience of physical media, the surface noise, the ritual of dropping the needle. They're purchasing imperfection at a premium. This isn't nostalgia. Most of these kids never lived in the vinyl era. It's something deeper. A recognition that perfect reproduction might not equal perfect experience. The crackle and warmth of analog playback creates what audiophiles call presence, a sense that the music exists in the same physical space as the listener. Lo-fi music replicates this phenomenon in digital form. It takes the clinical perfection of digital audio and intentionally degrades it to feel more human. The compression, the limited frequency range, the background noise. These aren't bugs, they're features. They create the sonic equivalent of a warm embrace. In our hyper-connected, always optimized digital existence, lo-fi offers something precious: permission to be imperfect. It's background music that doesn't demand your attention, ambient sound that acknowledges life's messiness, rather than trying to optimize it away. Here's where it gets philosophically interesting. We're using advanced digital technology to simulate the limitations of obsolete analog technology. Young producers spend hours perfecting their imperfect sound, carefully curating randomness, precisely engineering spontaneity. This creates a fascinating paradox. Is simulated authenticity still authentic? When we use AI-powered plugins to add vintage character to our digital recordings, are we connecting with something real or just consuming a nostalgic fantasy? I think the answer lies not in the technology itself, but in the intention behind it. Lo-fi creators aren't trying to fool anyone. The artifice is obvious. They're creating a shared aesthetic language that values emotion over technique, atmosphere over precision, humanity over perfection. In a world where algorithms optimize everything for maximum engagement, lo-fi represents a conscious choice to optimize for something else entirely: comfort, focus, emotional resonance. It's a small rebellion against the tyranny of metrics. As artificial intelligence becomes increasingly capable of generating perfect content, the value of obviously human imperfection may paradoxically increase. The tremor in a hand-drawn line, the slight awkwardness in authentic conversation, the beautiful inefficiency of analog thinking. These become markers of genuine human presence. The challenge isn't choosing between analog and digital, perfection and imperfection. It's learning to consciously navigate between them, understanding when limitations serve us and when they constrain us, recognizing when optimization helps and when it hurts. My small speakers taught me something important. Sometimes the best technology isn't the one with the most capabilities, but the one whose limitations align with our human needs. Lo-fi music sounds perfect on imperfect speakers because both embrace the same truth, that beauty often emerges not from the absence of flaws, but from making peace with them. In our quest to build better systems, smarter algorithms, and more efficient processes, we might occasionally pause to ask, what are we optimizing for? And what might we be losing in the pursuit of digital perfection? The lo-fi phenomenon and its parallels in photography, video, and every art form we've digitized reveals something profound about human nature. We are not creatures built for perfection. We are shaped by friction, by constraint, by the beautiful accidents that occur when things don't work exactly as planned. The crackle of vinyl, the grain of film, the compression of cassette tape. These aren't just nostalgic affectations. They're reminders that imperfection is where humanity lives, that the beautiful inefficiency of analog thinking, messy, emotional, unpredictable, is not a bug to be fixed, but a feature to be preserved. Sometimes, the most profound technology is the one that helps us remember what it means to be beautifully, imperfectly human. And maybe, in our hybrid analog-digital world, that's the most important thing we can carry forward. I hope you enjoyed this article. Reflect and share it with your fellow humans. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Marco's Musing on Society and Technology newsletter on LinkedIn. New transmissions are always incoming. You're listening to this through the Redefining Society and Technology podcast, so while you're here, make sure to follow the show and join us as we continue exploring life in this hybrid analog-digital society. Connect with Marco on his website, marcochapelli.com. End of transmission.